Hello again everybody, so today we're going to be having quite of a different video. This was supposed to be a deck profile of my premium deck list for the last FRF tournament, or at least the last premium FRF tournament, because yesterday, or at least by the time I'm making this video, was another FRF tournament, but it was the overdress format. So I'll be getting onto my list for that soon. But for now, I would like to talk about my experience with Premium first. So again, this was supposed to be a deck profile, but I realized that it's not really appropriate for me to make a deck profile of it yet because I just found out all throughout the tournament that my list was really bad. I mean, it's not really that bad, but at the very least, there's some parts of the list where it doesn't make any sense or whatsoever. Even though I reached finals with it, I still find it to be just a little bit weird. I will still share my list and my experiences with it, and also some ideas or some reasoning behind it, but it won't be as in-depth compared to my previous deck profiles. This video is most likely just gonna be like a storytelling type of thing. I just really want to share my experiences with it because, fun fact, this was my very first ever tournament for Premium, and also my first week playing Premium. So it's a bit special to me. It's like a milestone that I hit personally, so I would like to share it on the channel. Okay, so where do we start? You know what? Let's start by taking a look at my list. So this is the list that I went with, and as you can see, I brought Nightmare Dolls. The reason why I brought Nightmare Dolls is because I wanted to experience the loop with Leslie, Ginny, and Alice. It is one of the best combos in Premium Pale Moon, at least on my opinion. And it's the most fun because it's just so much fun restanding Leslie's by Alice and Ginny. Also, another reason is some of the people in Different Fights server wanted to see me play a Premium Nightmare Dolls just because I topped with it last time, but at least in V Premium, and this is just a whole nother level of complexity. Another reason is that I just really don't know much about the format as of now, or at least by the time I'm taking a look at what lists should I bring to the tournament. I originally thought I would bring Harry, but I know to myself that I have no idea on how to play Harry yet in Premium. You know, there's a lot of decision makings on that deck, and I think my brain isn't really fit for that kind of playstyle yet. So I decided to choose a deck that would at least be brain dead in a way, or at least it has lesser complexity compared to what Harry can do, and bring a deck that I have at least some amount of experience playing it in other formats, like for example V Premium. So Nightmare Dolls was the way to go on my part, and I started to just search for some lists on the internet. You know, net decking is one of the good ways to enter a new format, so that was my way to go. At the same time, I asked in our Discord if someone can send me their Nightmare Dolls list. I'm really thankful for Spectral Wu for sending me his lists. He has a few lists that you can check out on our Discord if you are there, but as soon as I took a look at his lists, I saw that it's a bit more complicated than I expected. He was running a lot of cards that I didn't really know how to play yet in Premium, or at least play it properly, because at least I have an idea, but I realized that his lists were just a product of countless testings. And I don't have that experience yet. So if I play the list, I will know to myself that I will play it really badly. I decided to pass on that. Thank you again, Spectral Wu, but I'm sorry again for not using your list. So I decided to just search more. And then I found a recorded game video on YouTube where they shared their deck lists on the comment section. So I went with that and I saw the list and I saw how it was played, and I liked how it played. He played Nightmare Doll of the Abyss Beatrix as one of his main strides, and that alone got me really interested in it. Plus, he was running a lot of Workroids. The playstyle is clear to see at the very least. There was just some cards that I didn't really like playing in it, or maybe it's because I don't know how to play it depending on how he plays it. But when I saw how he plays it on the video, it's quite similar to how it plays in V Premium. So I realized that this list might be the one for me. So I immediately tried it out, and surprisingly, I got the hang of it quite quick. Because again, it's quite similar to how Nightmare Dolls in V Premium plays. And it's kind of self-explanatory to some extent. It's kind of like a very honest list. It just has enough complexity and simplicity to it that can make any Nightmare Doll player happy. So after a bit more testing to it, I decided to change the list or tweak it a bit to fit my liking, and it ended up like this. So this is the list that I went with on the tournament, and it's still bad. Oh my god. To be fair, it's quite okay of a list. I mean, it's pretty straightforward. But the only thing here that really bothered me to this day is why the hell did I play fronts? Oh my god. Oh man. I don't know why the hell I played fronts. Maybe I was still thinking that I am playing V Premium Nightmare Dolls, that I really want to play fronts. I also said in our tournament chat that please don't copy this list because I assure you it's not really that good. Or at the very least, it's not the best that I can do. There was one situation throughout the tournament where the fronts actually kind of worked, but it was one out of plenty. So that signals that it's really not worth it to run fronts. Plus, with the use of Beatrix, you removed your units on the board, so fronts are useless. The only play that it's good at, in my opinion, is where you have a lot of Leslies on the board already that's ready to restand. But that didn't happen all throughout the tournament. I mean, it happened once, but I didn't check a front there. There was also one situation where if that front could have been a crit, I would have actually won the game. Basically, I would suggest that you remove the fronts and just put on crits because it's just way better. The G-Zone could also be tweaked in a way because I was only running 3 Masquerade Harrys for some reason. I would bump him up to 4 by removing Dismel, I guess. In the main deck, I'm pretty happy with the ratios of each card. It's enough to fit the playstyle that I like doing. I really wanted it to be purely Nightmare Dolls just because of the fact that I ran Beatrix. By the way, speaking of Beatrix, I actually did a bit of an oopsie during the tournament that only got noticed on the finals because it was streamed. Basically, what I did was an illegal move. The situation was I had Beatrix as my stride, and then I have an Alice on the rear guard, and my heart was a Carol. So the play was after I attacked with my Beatrix, I will move 3 Workroids from the board to Soul and then call out 2. I moved Alice from board to Soul and then returned my Beatrix to the G-Zone. And then since Carol became my Vanguard again, since I moved a grade 3 to Soul using that skill, I assumed that I can re-ride onto something from the Soul using Carol's skill. But as the ruling said, you can't do that because Carol is still a heart. I did that once during the finals and then they corrected me. Thankfully, the situation was still reversible, so I didn't get a game loss. Also, my opponent didn't like it to be a game loss because it won't be as satisfying if I say so. However, I will admit that I did do that play during the Swiss, you know, when there wasn't anything streamed. So to my opponent where I did that play, I'm really sorry. That wasn't supposed to be the case and I think you could have won if I knew the rules. So apologies for that. The moment that they said to me that that wasn't legal, I regretted everything because then I realized that I don't deserve to be in the finals if I did that wrong. Which is also why I didn't want this to be a deck profile. I now learned my mistake, so I assure you that that won't happen again next time. But still, I apologize for that play sincerely. Whew, that actually removed a lot of weight in my chest. So disregarding the fact that I ran fronts, let's take a look at why I chose this deck list in the first place. So first of all, let's take a look at the main deck because that's the most important in my opinion. We are running 4 Alice, which is one of the most important pieces here in our deck list. Unlike in V Premium, where Alice is actually not that good, Premium Nightmare Dolls revolves around Alice. So it's like the reverse version of our V Premium Nightmare Dolls. Also, the best ride target is still Carol because you can search from the top 5 before you can stride. The fact that you can still do something else before you stride is gonna be really amazing. 3 Chelsea's because Chelsea's is still quite a bit of a utility card in this deck because it can snipe something on the board, like for example a Honolly, but you need to have a Beatrix as your Vanguard because Chelsea only works when you have a Workroid Vanguard. But unlike how DI plays with Honolly, they have a G-Guard that puts resist on that card. Next is 3 Ginnies. You only need 1 Ginny in the Soul and nothing more. Also, speaking of the combo, let's start to take a look at that first, just in case you don't know the combo yet. So the combo is having a Ginny in the Soul, a Leslie in the front row, and an Alice ready to attack. First of all, unlike G Alice where it needs to hit, V Alice doesn't need to hit at all, and it's a 12k base, which is really nice. But she will consume 1 soul per attack, so you still have to take that into consideration. Ginny's skill says that whenever she is called on the rearguard circle from anywhere, you can put her in the soul and then call out an Alice. And Leslie's skill is whenever an Alice is moved from the field to the soul, she will restand. If you tie these 3 skills together, it will make a combo where you can keep on restanding your Leslies as long as you have CBs and soul. Because Alice doesn't need to hit anymore, so Leslie's is free to restand. And since we are running a lot of V triggers on your drive checks, you want to stack all your triggers on those Leslies because they will restand, especially if you check a crit, and that is basically what the Nightmare Doll loop can do. Going back to the deck list again, we are running 3 Brendas because Brenda is a good card to combo off with Beatrix. Also a card that can call any card from your soul in replacement for her. Like for example, if you have your Leslie's in the soul that you want to call out to prepare for the combo. If you have Alice's in the soul that you want to call out. It's just a very flexible card. Also when the card she called from her skill moves to the soul during the battle phase, she will call herself out, so it's another form of multi-attack and an intercept for your opponent's turn. Still for Marisa because again, Marisa is the best card in Nightmare Dolls. Sadly, I can't afford to run less grade 2s because I guess I didn't want to run more grade 1s or grade 3s besides from these cards. But still, she is an amazing card, so I gotta run 4 of her. Next, moving on to the grade 1s, I'm running 4 Leslie's because Leslie is the most important key piece, or at least one of the key pieces of the loop that I mentioned before. If you're aiming for that multiple restands, you want to stack a lot of V triggers on her, or especially an over trigger, which is gonna be a very phenomenal moment if you have done it. Just stacking 100 million Leslie swinging for 5 times, like holy flicking hell. Sometimes it will work, sometimes it won't work, because sometimes your opponent just has the means to survive your onslaught. Next, 2 copies of Beverly, because Beverly is still an amazing Vanguard booster, because whenever you reride a Vanguard, your Vanguard gets plus 5k, so your heart will become 17k, and then when you stride onto Beatrix, you will still get another plus 5, so it's gonna be plus 10k overall, making it a total of 37k attacker. 12 plus 15, 27, 37. Yeah, I'm correct on my math. Yeah, let's go. 2 copies of Marion, because Marion here is actually more useful than running Ediths, because you have a lot of stride that can move pieces from your board to the soul, so Marion's will be reused. But again, this is arguable because Edith does the same thing as well. Maybe you can experiment with it yourself. Next, final grade 1 is 4 copies of Abigail, because Abigail is just an amazing card. You don't always need to fetch grade 3s in the soul. What she does here is refund your first combos. If you're going first, your best combo is doing your usual V Premium Nightmare Doll combo. If you can push your opponent on that moment and you're not really thinking of damage denying them or something like that, if you have Abigail's, you can refund those, and then right there you can prepare yourself for your final push using your Ginny, Alice, and Leslie combo, because that combo requires all of your CBs. So just multiple counter charges are really appreciated. Triggers for draw PGs, because PGs are really nice. For fronts, that should be crits. Just don't follow this list, I swear. The starter, V starter, because it's a soul and a quick shield is really useful. 3 stride fodder crits, because even though we are running a lot of grade 3s, these grade 3s are key pieces to your combo. But if you have spare Carols, you can use that as stride fodder, spare Chelsea, spare Alice. But still, each grade 3 that we have in our main deck is really useful, so I still need some ways to stride. So these premium collection crits are the way to go. 4 heal triggers and 1 dark states over trigger. I decided to just bring the dark states over trigger. If you check it, even on the late game in this deck, it's still pretty useful because your Vanguard swings with a lot more pressure. Sometimes they take your Vanguard, right? Because if your opponent knows how this deck will be played, if you offensively check your Dark States over trigger, your Vanguard will still have more pressure, even though you still want to give everything to your Leslie, because that way your Vanguard will not swing for 2 crits every single time. Also, sometimes you only need 100 million to give to your Leslie. Well, if you have 2, that would be nice, but still sometimes, or at least most of the time, only 100 million power to 1 Leslie is enough. So yeah, that's basically it for my list. But as I said, this isn't really the best that I can do at the moment because I just really don't have enough experience with premium. However, I will still share another deck list that has the changes that I made on this list. So this is the optimized deck list, and as you can see, no more fronts. Yeah, because fronts are bad. And then I maximized the stride fodder crits and then 3 of the exotic jerker. And then I removed 1 Beatrix for the 4th copy of the Harry Stride, still 3 Megatrick Princess, and then 3 Yvettes. because I realized when I was playing that I don't really want to use a stride that consumes CB, which is where Beatrix and Yvette comes in. Yvette is just a very good Magia stride for your Dark Lord Princess, because with those two strides, you have a CB-less stride turn, meaning all of your CBs will be devoted to your Alice, Ginny, and Leslie combo. And on top of that, you have a total of 4 drive checks, and if you have Leslie's in your soul, she will be the best stride that you can go to, because you can call out that Leslie into another Axel circle and make that Leslie into a 27k attacker for the turn, which is really nice. So basically, your Leslie's now will hit over force numbers, a magic number against Excel numbers, and protect numbers, and can get over a defensive. So far in my experience, Yvette is still the best way to go. But if you have more experience than me, and I'm sure that some of you are, please tell your side and opinions in the comments if I should focus more on Harry's stride rather than Yvette's stride. Also, the last touch here is that I added one more Furnival in place of one Wandering Dragon, because Furnival is just a good card to fix your soul. And yeah, that's basically it for the list. So next, let me share my overall tournament experience. By the way, the tournament has a special ban list where we apply the ban list, I guess, that Solemn Vanguard made. You know, the one that he killed all 6 behemoths of premium at the moment, which are all the infinite loops and the broken Nuidayo stride. Plus with the addition of banning Zazan and Songster, and I believe some other cards as well. But basically, we tried to see what would happen to premium if that ban list specifically was applied. And in my experience alone, this is only on my part, but I found premium to be so much fun. Because the fact that I can play my favorite premium deck without worrying about being run over by an infinite loop deck is really fun. First deck that I faced was Luard, played by Bebop. I lost on that game, but I was really happy because I checked an over trigger and gave it on a Leslie, and then I had 5 CBs available, and then I tried to push for game right then and there, but sadly he had enough cards in his hand to guard it because he had 2 PGs available. So that just screwed my combo over, but the fact that I checked an over trigger and gave it to Leslie on the situation that I was in is just really cool. But sadly, I lost that because he rode another Morfessa and then swinged with massive numbers with 2 crits and Battledore. I committed on that one play on my previous turn, so I ended up losing, but it's still fine. Next, I faced against a Highlander Bermuda deck. I didn't know much about it, but in short, I won there because I went first and then I did my usual V premium combo with Carol and Chelsea, and then I took him from 0 to 5 on that turn for some reason because he didn't check a single defensive. Like, okay. So basically, I had my tempo right there, and then I survived his first stride, and then I strode myself, and then I won. Next fight is I faced against an NLK deck. I couldn't remember that much about what happened there. The only thing I remembered is that he didn't check that much defensives, so I just keep on bashing face. I couldn't remember much about it, so apologies for that. But still, it was a very fun game, and I won there, and luckily I am 2-1 at the moment. Next player I faced against Notorious Set, which is the winner of the tournament. He played NLK Barrow Magnus, which is very cool, and I luckily won because he said that he bricked on his first grade 3 turn. Even though I gave him 3 damage, he couldn't reach 13 soul with NLK, so he couldn't do the combo because he said that if I did reach 15 there, I could have died because I didn't have enough PGs to survive. But since he said that he bricked and I won there, I was now 3-1 at the moment, so I am pretty confident that I will reach top cut. And then I did, and top 4 happened, which is going to be a best of 3. First player I faced against on top 4 is Bebop once again, which is my first opponent that run me over by Morfessa. So we started playing, and then throughout the game, he G-assisted twice on the first game, I believe. And then that really hurt the deck because the first G-assist was a miss, and then second one happened, but he did -2 from hand. And then at the moment, I believe I got the tempo of the game, and then that resulted me to the first win of the best of 3. And then on the second game, he chose to go second, and then I just did my thing, and then eventually I won. I couldn't remember if I checked an over trigger though. If I did, please correct me in the comments, Bebop. I couldn't remember much. So basically I won there, and then I reached finals for some reason, and then Woohoo! And the finalist was Notorious Sad, which is playing NLK Magnus. It was a very cool match, and I learned a lot throughout the game, especially when he used the G guards that puts resist on units on the board. He did an NLK play and then rode Magnus on the last ride, and then on attack of Magnus, he called out an Honolly. Since he has a Honolly on the board, I need to remove it. I did have a Chelsea, and I strode onto Beatrix, but sadly, when I first attacked with my Chelsea, he G guarded and then gave resist to that Honolly using that G guard. I didn't know that card existed because I don't know much about premium. So that caught me off guard, and then yeah, he took game 1, and then the second game was a bit of a clutch game. It was a game where one V trigger on my side could have decided everything, and then I luckily hit that one trigger on my one drive check Vanguard, and then I won the game. We did consume the entire 50 minutes, I believe, or 40 minutes of the best of 3, basically the time allotted to us, and then we just suddenly reached sudden death. So sudden death is done by the first person that deals the damage wins. That was like a mini game of some sort because we don't have anything to do besides from just swing face and then just hope to have enough shield to guard everything until you deal the damage. And then after a while of that sudden death, he swinged with his 14k Vanguard. I guarded for at 15k shield on my 9k Vanguard, so that was 24. I want to pass because I can't do anything much. He still has one more attack. He checked a trigger and then he dealt me 1 damage, and that was game over. So basically it was a mini game in the end, but we had fun regardless. It was very, very fun. So yeah, that's about it for my first week of premium. Like, it's very, very cool. I would love to invest in premium the moment that Bushiroad decided to drop the bomb on the premium format, you know, killing those 6 behemoths and some problematic cards. Also, I want to ask you guys if you like this kind of videos, like just me talking to you and then just sharing my experiences and something like that. It's just basically storytelling because I love doing these things on my side. If you guys have some suggestions to me about how to play premium, just basically what can I improve with Nightmare Dolls, or just anything at all, just leave it down in the comments because I would love to learn it. Also, did you know that the majority of the people watching aren't subscribed? Like, what are you doing, bruh? Subscribe, hit the red button down below, man. It's pretty easy. It's really easy. Just scroll down a bit, click the red button, and then there you go. It's really that simple. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.